Social constructionism and religious worlds is an approach that bridges different scholarly approaches. We've seen that William Payton uses a non-reductionist approach to the study of religion, reflected in his use of the sacred as a defining criterion of religion, while Craig Martin uses an explicitly reductionist approach that explains religion as a special case of more general social processes and forces. At the same time, both scholars share an important scholarly approach, the social constructionist paradigm. When I say paradigm, I mean something like a fundamental pattern, a set of basic assumptions that works something like a template to pre-organize our thinking about things. The social constructionist paradigm works just this way. It's a set of fundamental general perceptions developed by important social theorists about the way human life and human phenomena operate, to shape the way human beings think, feel, and behave. In particular, the way human beings coordinate their shared understandings of the way things are around here, that is, in their particular time and place. Those fundamental perceptions and understandings include the idea that human beings make or construct the human and humanly meaningful worlds they live in together. We, do this just by living their human lives, that is, by learning and using the language used by our families and the people around us. That language both reflects and shapes our socially appropriate ways of understanding the things we talk about, and our socially appropriate behavior with respect to those things. Along with that language, we learn the ways of behaving that are demanded or permitted and that allow us to fit into our world, our social world. Martin summarizes these fundamental perceptions and understandings in his 7 principles on page 34 to 45 of our text. And Payton's discussion of his central concept, that the many different religious communities we know of construct many different but comparable religious worlds, thoroughly incorporates these principles. It might be worth noticing that these principles are also entirely compatible with the fundamental idea of the ultimate reality school, that assuming there is an ultimately real world, a world in itself, we limited humans wouldn't know it. Instead, we know the world as it is for us. So we can be sure that scholars working in that tradition, like Richter, are also comfortable with the social constructionist paradigm. In fact, it's fair to say that social constructionism in this general sense is now the dominant paradigm in the academic study of religion. It's taken for granted and used by almost all scholars in the field. That is, most scholars of religion share the foundational understanding that the religions we study are socially constructed social phenomena, ways of life made by the human beings who live those ways of life. Makes a particularly important statement on page 58. He says the notion of a socially constructed religious world is metaphysically innocent. That is, it doesn't presuppose any answer to the important question of whether religion is humanly made or whether it's made in response to something divine. According to Payton, just because a way of life is socially constructed doesn't mean it couldn't possibly have been constructed in response to something truly true, really real, and ultimate. Spoken like a true non-reductionist.